Welcome and good evening. I'm Stuart Siegel, and I apologize for being a little tardy. As a partner of the National Society of High School Scholars, I welcome you. It's my honor to present to you tonight Sweetening the Pot, a guide to appealing your way to a better award package. Actionable information that can help your student get the best possible award package. And the award you end up with is likely to be the one you're going to have to live with for all 4 years, perhaps even 5. So you're going to want to get it right the first time. And I want to thank, and you should thank, the National Society of High School Scholars for the opportunity that this has been given to me to present to you. Now, I want to direct your attention. I believe there are a couple of links that you're going to find very helpful. I'm not sure exactly where they are, but the first is a document that it'll give you an overall idea of specifics of what you're going to need for an appeal at most colleges and universities. The other is a list of colleges that have April 1st deadlines and they go right through August. And the reason I'm including these is because if you didn't apply to as many colleges as you might have to receive a lucrative award package, lots of the colleges that you have on your list may not have given your student enough funding. So if anything, if you go through one of these applications and submit and get a great award, you could use that as leverage or appeal to the college your child really wants to attend. It's been known to work very often, as a matter of fact, but your student has to help. They're the ones that are going to have to apply. Now, there's so much to tell you that most of it wouldn't stick. So I've chosen to speak about the most important things to know. Like, first, what exactly is an appeal? Well, a financial aid letter, or appeal letter, is just an explanation of things that have changed since you filled out your tax return and the forms, because remember, everything's based on 2020. They call it prior. So if your situation's changed, like many people's have, you want to appeal to the college with a letter with some documentation, probably going to be necessary, to ask for help. This is not a demand for more money. It is just simply a question of asking for help. Now, before I get into the meat and taters of the topic at hand, I want to take a moment to speak to the parents of high school juniors, and hopefully some sophomores are out there, because avoiding student and parent debt, this is key, starts with finding colleges that will reward your student for their hard work, even if you don't have an A+ student. There are many colleges, well, they love B students too. So what you don't want is to be here a year from now, going through this appeals process and hoping, that it works out for you. Starting with the college search and finding out which colleges will offer you the most free money, and finding out which colleges, will give you the fewest amount of loans, doesn't have to take you months and months of research. We at FAFSA can do this literally. Our subscribers do it literally in minutes. And nothing really is more important. I know you hear about scholarships, being unclaimed, billions of dollars. Well, that's not exactly true. Most of the money is going to come, 97% actually comes from the colleges and universities themselves. But what you can avoid by looking for colleges that will award your student the most money is avoiding being saddled with student and maybe yourself with so much debt that you become literally an indentured servant for 10, 20, 30 years even. That's why I do what I do, and that's what FAFSA is all about. So why look at colleges that you could never afford when there's so many great ones that you can? And if you can afford the maximum cost of attendance, there are several schools now that are over $86,000. Most of the schools I see are 55 to 86. More power to you if you can do that. But I found that most parents in this group really want to pay less than the full list price. So when you have a great list of colleges that takes into consideration your students' academics, that's GPA, test scores, academic rigor, courses, that sort of thing, your financial capabilities, what you can do, you want to know what the financial aid requirements are so you don't miss any deadlines. Sometimes a deadline, you miss it, well, that means it's dead. And you're going to want to know the best way to increase your financial aid eligibility to get the most free money. More free money, of course, equals less to no debt. And now's the time to learn how to fill out the FAFSA and perhaps even the CSS profile properly, correctly, and to your advantage, because mistakes can cost you thousands of dollars per year, and there's a very good chance you never know it. The colleges don't always catch mistakes. That's why knowing what you're doing through the process is so important. Now, there are free services. There are free services that will file your FAFSA for free, but you don't have to ask yourself, or what you do have to ask yourself is, what does free mean exactly? Now, nobody does, I'm old enough to know that nobody does anything. There's no free lunches, right? Free means no accountability, no responsibility. If the free service makes a mistake that costs you money, what recourse do you have? In fact, mistakes are so common on these free services that you'd have to think that it was designed that way, that it was intentional, because more mistakes means that you're going to have to pay more money to the college. And that means the free service, who is selling private loans, will plague you for the next months and years, because the more you borrow due to their mistakes, and you're probably ones that you're never going to know about, the more they make on the loan application fees and on the loans themselves, where they receive up to 3% of every dollar you borrow. That, on top of that, they sell your personal data to marketers so they can get your money and sell you stuff too. Free is often very expensive. So I want you to remember a few. These are just some of the forms you'll be looking at through the year. I want you to remember these three ideas, if nothing else. I want you to stay out of debt. I want you not to go into debt. I mean, there are sometimes students will go into a certain amount of debt, undergraduate debt. If there's no other way, well, if you really want to go to that school, then that's what you have to do. But they're federal loans with a lot of protections. 2, know how to file the aid forms and do them right. You need to become familiar with all the instructions and what's being asked. Too many parents and students fill these things out. They are not filling out properly. It's costing them a lot of money. So what we'd ask you to do, if you work with us, is to become confident in using our easy-to-use FAFSA Assist Easy File software, which does many things, including filing the FAFSA and all these other forms for you automatically, and also manages the entire process so you get the most aid possible. And then 3, to evaluate the financial aid packages your student gets, so you know whether you got a great award or great awards or not, and to give you the exact language and strategies to negotiate or appeal an extra $3,000 to $20,000 per year in free money. And we're going to track your progress and remind you of things that can be forgotten, and we will keep you motivated and on track through texting and emails, and get you through what most parents find pretty difficult without help, but can do very well with a little bit of assistance from FAFSA Assist. So I urge you to visit the website FAFSA Assist after the webinar, or when it's most convenient to do so, and learn the difference in what we can do for our subscribers versus what the free services don't. Okay, you'll be nicely surprised the value you receive and for how little of an investment it is, and it's very small. So I'll share more about that, and you can become a member near the end of how to become a member near the end of Sweetening the Pot. So let's move on to why colleges award money and how to get more from them. The first thing is, it's bait. Colleges are using discounts, and that's what they are, tuition discounts, to award your student money. Okay, this way they can compete with the lower price schools. Many of them are public. They're all looking for the same number of students, and for the past few years, almost 1 million fewer students have applied. In the next couple of years, you probably don't remember this, kids, if you're listening, or students, there was a great recession, and things were very bad, and fewer babies were born. So in a couple of years, colleges are going to be in real trouble because there are going to be even fewer applicants. The other reason they offer money is to take away the sticker shock. Colleges are they've been increasing prices for the past 30 years, I think about 1,260%, and they're going up even more. So here's some of the things you need to know as you get started in your appeal. First things first, you need to know what procedures to follow. Where do you find that? Well, you go to the college's financial aid website first and find out if they have a form, or you need a letter, or you send it through or whatever it is you need. And if you can't find it on the website, sometimes you can't, and I would just type in special circumstances or appeal in the financial aid search bar, in the address bar there, and see if you can't get their procedure. If you can't, then just email finaid@xxx.edu and expect a response in a couple of days. Another thing you need to know, depending on the schools you applied to, your student applied to, you know what you need? You need to know what your EFC is. This is the Federal Expected Family Contribution. It's on your student aid report. If you filed your FAFSA, you probably took a peek, or at the end of it, you did see a number in black. The EFC, that's the minimum amount of money you're expected to pay. There's also the CSS profile that produces the institutional methodology, and they've asked a whole bunch of other questions. If you've been through this, seniors, you know. And you want to know, especially if your home equity was included. A lot of times there's about 40 or 50 schools that will take a look and see, well, you've got $300,000 of home equity. Some schools will assess the whole thing, $300,000. They'll just say, okay, that, and they'll take about 6% of that, which is going to be about $18,000 counted against you. Others are based on percentages of your adjusted gross income. And you need to know, was your student competitive at that school? Are they in the top 10, 15, 20% of the applicants? If they're much lower, odds are they may not get such a great package, and it's tougher to appeal. But if they've been admitted, I would appeal based on whatever circumstances you have. Another thing you need to do is find out what mistakes were made. Parents make these mistakes all the time. They put the wrong information. You know, they had a rollover from a 401k or an IRA. They put it into a Roth IRA, for example, and it shows up as untaxed income, and bang, the school doesn't, they don't know what it is. So they just include it, and you get hit, you know, lose $30,000 of aid, for example. Happens all the time. So you need to appeal based on that. And you'll show them a 1099-R, for example, and also what the transfer was. So they see that you did not realize any money. People put in business and home values. Don't do that. Take them out of there. You will be asked about it later, but correct it as soon as possible. Notify the school if you see that. Because so many people have 529 college savings plans for their children, what we see sometimes is the question, because the money's intended for their child's education, they put it as a student asset, which gets counted 4 to 5 times higher than the parents' assets. The kids are 20 and 25%, the parents only about less than 6%. So it makes a huge difference. You're going to want to let the school know about that, and you're going to have to show statements to prove it. Also, household size errors. It's not just the number of kids you have in the house, it's how many kids you're supporting outside the house as well. Now, how do you know if the offer was fair? Well, you're going to look and see what the comparables are for your student's GPA with the kids who are going there, and take a look at their GPA, and if you have test scores, compare those as well. Now, I know the UC's, University of California system's not taking test scores anymore. That's fine, but there's still thousands of other schools who do, even though they're test optional. They still use them in awarding merit money. You need to find out, when you look at the award letter, take the free money from the school, scholarships, grants, divide that into the tuition and fees figure, and come up with that tuition discount. So you'll know some schools will be 18%, some will be 5%, some will be 78%. You need to know which it is, so you know if you should even appeal. How much more money could you get, for example? You also need to know what's the college's history of awarding money. Now, it's kind of hard to know that going beyond a year, but if you go on to the Google college name and write in common data set, you'll find, chances are, a PDF will pop up, and you'll see how much money the average student got in grants and scholarships, and what the student profile looked like as well. So you can Google that. Remember that, common data set. You could ask me about that later. And then you want to evaluate all the awards, and this is stuff we do, to compare apples to apples. Even if you have a private and a public school you're comparing them, at least you'll understand the difference and be able to see what makes, so you know how well you did comparably. I mean, if you got an 18% discount at a state school versus a 48% discount at a private school, it's about the same thing, because state schools, if you're a resident of that state, that's already subsidized by the state legislature. The government's already paid, the taxpayers are covering that. Now, here's things that can't be appealed, all right? And I just read an article yesterday, actually, in the Wall Street Journal that said, people who are driving their cars to work and they're doing 2 hours round trip. Of course, it's costing a lot more. They were dining out, and those costs have increased 30 to 35%. So, how that's a frivolous expense, I don't know how you can call that. Not the driving, but the lunches, especially. That's what they consider frivolous. Pack your lunch. So you could tell them that, look, you're packing to work when you discuss an appeal. Say you're not eating out. But these are things that you can't appeal on, that you like to, entertain yourself and, buy lottery tickets. Can't do it. Being a generous person at church or donating, being a great person and donating money to your favorite charity doesn't count. Going on a vacation somewhere, even if it's educational, doesn't count. Living expenses, the normal ones, that's already included in the financial aid formulas. You can't use those either. And any future expenses you might make, like buying a new car, you can't use that either. Now, there are a whole lot of reasons to appeal. And if you look them up, on the internet, you probably find like 20, but I'm only going to talk about 5. And these are when a parent loses a job or has lost some of that income. Divorce and separation, very traumatic, sets up 2 households, can cost a lot of money. Of course, the death of a parent, very tragic. That's something a school needs to know about immediately. Medical and dental expenses, primarily medical, because these can follow people for years and they can have very negative consequences on their finances. And then if you're lucky enough to, win the lottery, for example, what'd you do with the money? But you want to get that excluded, because if it was reported on your 2020 tax return, you want to make it go bye-bye. Now, going through an appeal, it's like I heard it said once, people that, they make a prayer to the Almighty and they don't get an answer. Well, sometimes that answer is no. And the way financial aid works and admissions works, this is a response that one of my students got a couple of years ago from Worcester Polytech, it's in Massachusetts. And the third factor, while institutional financial aid is based on need, it's also based on a myriad of other factors related to the student's desirability to the institution. While Kyle was admitted to WPI and would no doubt do well here, he is not at the top of WPI's applicant pool. So be prepared for that eventuality. Then there's the other side of the coin. Oh, mistakes happen. If I can get that back. After review, I've determined that an adjustment should have been made, and you do qualify for grant assistance this year. I've updated Beatrice's aid award, adding an additional $20,204 in grant funding for the year. And this is where it gets great. On behalf of the office, I'd like to offer sincere apologies for the error, and I hope this revision is helpful for you and your family. Colleges do make mistakes. Parents make mistakes. Bring the two together and you can have a happy ending. So let's go through some of the guidelines here as you prepare to get down to it and get an appeal letter going. As I mentioned earlier, what is the process? Is it going to be a letter or a special circumstance form or a combination? Gathering documentation for your specific situation, and I'll go over some of that. Don't ask for a specific amount of money. You're asking for help. You can tell them in dollar amounts you're not earning or you've lost or whatever the expenses are that you're claiming that should be considered, but don't ask for a specific amount. Just say, well, this cost me $20,000. I want $20,000. Do not do that. Colleges have their own way of determining how much money they're going to consider giving you. And don't bargain with them. This isn't, you're not haggling over a coat or a car, a used car. Don't do that. They don't like it. And it doesn't work. And again, in terms of being straightforward and honest about this, try to be objective. Keep your feelings out of it. This is a business letter, a business communication, and just the facts, ma'am. Like the old, you probably don't remember, but way back there was a police show where they said, just give us the facts, ma'am. So when you're getting ready to do this, as you're writing it, let them know that something's coming. Now, there's a number of ways you can get that to them through email, which is very popular, but sometimes you're going to be sending documents that through email are not secure, and they don't want them, or they don't want them password protected either, not going through email. Or and if you're going to send something password protected through their portal, unprotect it. Don't say anything password protected. They are too busy to mess around with that stuff. You can also, at the same time as sending all of this, you can print it all up, stick it in an envelope, use the US mail, and send it certified. And usually you'll get a reply within about a week, sometimes sooner. Given everything I just told you about, your competitiveness of the student, the history of how much money the colleges award and what your tuition discount is, if it's a fair decision, respect it. Now, here's what you're going to do. There's 4 things you need to do when you write an appeal letter. The first thing is sit down, have a cup of coffee, like in the little graphic there, and answer this question. What happened? What exactly happened? Well, okay, my dad was laid off from work, and he's looking for new work, but right now we've lost about $60,000 of income that he used to earn. So what does it mean? Well, I think I just said that. We've lost that income, and this is going to impact our family. We're going to have a difficult time meeting our bills, paying the mortgage or rent, whatever. And then what are you doing to improve the situation? Well, we're not going out for dinner anymore. We're not going on a vacation. We're cutting our subscription services. No more Netflix. Whatever it is that makes sense to reduce your costs. And what do you want? And the answer is always the same. You respectfully ask for help in making up the difference so that you can get your child to go to this college. That the situation should be temporary. You're looking, and things are going to be okay. But right now, you need help. So what do you send? Just enough. If it's a W-2 or if it's a letter of termination or an unemployment notice or that you send, that you get from unemployment when you sign up, use that. If the college wants anything more from you, they're going to ask. They'll ask for whatever it is they need to help you. And they want to help you. You have to always remember showing the financial impact. A lot of parents, they'll put stuff down that they'll come to you with that yeah, I understand that things are tough, you got a situation, but if it's not really impacting you financially, they're not going to entertain it. It just doesn't mean anything to them. So it has to have a financial meaning. And you may need an accountant, for example, third-party documentation to help you out because colleges don't necessarily just believe you. All the documentation I'm listing here are all the kind of things you would need. I didn't include bills. The list was getting kind of long, like medical bills, your 2021 tax return, recent pay stubs, IRA distributions, unemployment benefit. I just mentioned the eligibility. I did receipts and statements for billing for medical. Yeah. If you got an insurance settlement, and by the way, if you got an insurance settlement, it's not taxable. I'm going to leave this to your conscience and your own ethics, but if it's not on your tax return, I'd forget it like a savings bond in the family Bible, but that's up to you. If you're terminated, lay off, or if you got severance coming, a letter from your employer explaining that. Now, if you did get severance, the chances are, I'm going to get a sip of my AHA here. What the college is going to do is they're going to say, well, when the severance package or the period is over, what we're going to ask you to do is then appeal then if you're not working, because right now you have an income. So we'll make a note in the file that you're unemployed and collecting severance, but we won't do anything now. So just understand that. And then divorce documents or in the proceedings of documents that you would get. So all kinds of things happen. Layoffs, terminations, a parent's change of employment. Let's say they get another job, pays less, or their benefits are cut. You want to let the school know about that. If there's a disability, or mom or dad, reaches the age of retirement, or they have a medical issue that forces them into early retirement, and their income's going to be shortened or lessened, you want to let them know about that. And then here we're going to quickly show you what you might want to provide a school in terms of just called a spreadsheet, really. And what I just really want to call your attention to is the third line, total income in the first section, and then the total income line, one line up from the bottom of the second section, and you'll see there's an $80,000 difference in income. We're looking at 152,000, and now we're looking at 87,000. I think, is that 70,000? I think 70,000. So that's a big difference. And as long as you can document that, this is a pretty good way to get a breakdown of your expenses. You can prove documents, then they'll take that money and reduce the income. Typically, that's what they're going to do. Colleges are pretty good about that. So when it comes to divorce and separation, get a few of these every year in my private practice. There are expenses for a second household, especially if we call them parent two or her parent two, the one who is the non-custodial parent. They're setting up house and they're not remarried or living with somebody to share those expenses. It can be quite expensive. So that's something you want to let the college know, that money is now not available. Beyond any alimony or child support paid, for example, alimony does usually end. For most people, it's a short-term thing. Child support often ends at age 18 unless there's an educational clause. You want to let them know about that. If there's any educational expenses for that child living in parent two's household, you're going to want to let the school know about that. That's being paid for. And divorces can be quite expensive, and there's a lot of legal costs with that. And I want to address something about this that has to do with cash investments that are jointly owned by the couple, the parents. If they have things that are in joint custody and they're going through divorce, typically those assets are what we call in contest. So if they jointly had $300,000 in stocks and $50,000 in savings, well, that money's not really available anymore because nobody knows who's getting it. So if you reported those assets on the FAFSA and the profile, you're going to want, and the divorce happens or the proceedings start, then you're going to want to let the college know about that because those assets should be taken off the table. So this is fairly common, medical expenses, especially with COVID. A lot of people got sick, and of course there's other diseases as well. So you're going to want to include in the letter really just a short statement about the circumstances surrounding the illness. When did it start? What's the diagnosis? What's the prognosis? And what money did it cost you in the previous year? So if this started in 2021, what were your bills? What did it cost? And what do you expect for the coming year? Okay, so you should have all these bills and stuff, and it gets to be a real mess. And also, depending on the length of the illness, or if you have a debt at the hospital or some of the medical practices, how long are those repayments going to extend? Because that's money that should be taken off the table as well, out of your income. Also, who's responsible for that bill? Is it just that parent or their spouse? Is there money in a health savings account that can be used, or a flexible spending arrangement, cafeteria plan? Are those resources available? They're going to want to know this. Because future income can be affected, not only by the spouse, let's say, taking care of a sick person's child, or a parent taking care of a sick child and a spouse taking care of a spouse, they may not be able to work as much, as well as that person, if it's a parent, the spouse not being able to work. That can cause a real hardship, and it often does. So you want to be able to communicate to the school how this is going to be moving forward, depending on how long the doctors expect that the disease to last. And what the colleges could do, and I'll show you an example in a second, is how the colleges could subtract the out-of-pocket expenses from their AGI. So let's take a look how that happened. We have a parent who actually wasn't working, is paying COBRA expenses for his insurance premiums, $1,423 annually over $17,000. That's what the insurance were. Copays were $300 a month for the doctor, and meds were $616. And there was a surgery coming up in the future, which they expect they're going to have to pay about $40,000. Insurance is not going to cover most of it. And then to manage some of the pain the client was in, the patient was in, they've been receiving acupuncture treatments fairly regularly. And those all came up to quite a bit of money, as you can see. So what did the college allow? Well, they allowed the insurance premiums. They allowed the copays for the doctor and the medications. What they didn't allow was the surgery, because that had not yet happened yet, had not occurred yet. And acupuncture treatments, well, they're not covered by insurance, so they said no to that. But they did take those first three, which was $28,086, and they ran their computations through it, and they added a grant for $13,200. So was this a pain in the neck to do all this? Yes, but it allowed the student to continue school. And then we got these one-time events that you want to let the school know about. An early distribution of retirement assets is one. If you've gotten vacation days that were owed you, severance payments, I mentioned, insurance settlements. Big one is the conversion of the Roths. I mentioned that. Capital gains. I have a client who's, they had a fairly large capital gain, had to do with a stock split with Apple, as a matter of fact, a couple of years ago, and they sold it when the stock split, and they took the proceeds, the capital gains, which were all taxable, and they put it right into an investment account because they wanted to diversify their holdings. And so that is actually in process right now. I expect it to work because I generally don't lose a case like that. Lotto winnings, well, if you get that kind of money, I hope you spend it on building a mother-in-law residence or apartment or something like that for, or fix the house up or do something, or pay college bills or whatever, so that it doesn't become a frivolous expenditure like a trip to, a safari or something like that. And you just want to let them know what happened to the funds. Okay, here's some mistakes that we sometimes go through, we see. And it's not a reasonable request. These are frivolous things that just don't have any real financial consequences. Or if they do, they're self-inflicted, consumer debt, for example. Giving too much information to a college, and I'll explain a little bit more in a minute. I just had an email from one of my clients regarding going to a college and visiting financial aid, and I gave her my answer. I'll tell you what I said. Giving too much information is easy. You're only going to shoot yourself in your foot doing that. I see people not being respectful and just being rude and thinking like they're owed something, and creating these long letters when a couple of paragraphs usually will do it. No more than a page and a half is fine with the proper documentation. And if I can't understand, or somebody who's reading the letter for you, somebody should proof it. If they can't understand it, then you need to rewrite it, because people don't have a lot of time to try and understand what you mean, because it may not be what you mean, and you may get nothing when you should have. Now, this is what I said, avoiding meeting somebody in person. Okay, this is why. You go into a financial aid office, you're visiting, say it's Champlain College, like my client's going to, and you want to go to the financial aid office and you need more money. And you get to sit there and you have your daughter with you, your son, and you start telling your story to the financial aid administrator who's sitting there, and you start crying and getting upset. And this is my daughter's first choice, and I'm a failure if I can't make this happen. And it's you become a hot mess. So what the financial aid person is going to do is they're going to politely give you a box of Kleenex and excuse themselves while you compose yourself. And you're going to dry your eyes, you're gonna calm down, they're gonna come back and they say, we'll let you know in a week. Done. Don't do it. And also, if you're in the office, you might say too much. You might just shoot yourself in the foot. It's better to think before you say anything, and you can do that in an email better than anywhere. I don't even like email very much, except in cases of sending stuff you really want to think about before you say it. Okay, here's some don'ts. You don't want to waste valuable real estate. You only have a page, page and a half to communicate. Don't focus on how great your child is. They've already been admitted. Doesn't matter. Don't focus on, that they're great at football or music or a great actress or dancer or actor, or a robotics genius. Doesn't matter. What matters is the money. Keep it there. Don't write about better offers. It doesn't matter. This is not a negotiation. Better offers at schools you don't want to go to? Okay, fine. Well, that's a negotiation. You're in the wrong office. You're sending it to the wrong person. Go to admissions for negotiation. Do not go to financial aid to appeal. Don't be general. Don't say, well, we want more, we can't afford it. Nobody can afford it. College is really stupidly, obscenely expensive. It really is. And this is my business. I think terrible things happen in this country when it comes to college costs. And if you read my stuff, you know how I feel about it and why. It's not even feeling, it's thinking, it's knowing. But at any rate, nobody can afford it. Nobody wants to pay the whole thing. So that's not part of what you're talking about. And don't demand or threaten or any of that kind of stuff. Say, well, if I can't get what I want, we're not going to come here. Fine. Don't. That kind of attitude, they already know that 90% of the time they say no, your student's going to go there anyway. So don't help them with the other 10%. And again, don't try and bargain with them. You can't do that. Bargaining is not going to work. Numbers work. Okay, here's some do's. What you're going to do near the end of the letter, or you can even ask in the beginning, by asking for a professional judgment review or a professional review. These are words they understand and they like to hear. They don't like to hear a negotiate or appeal or anything like that. What you're asking for is help, and they can provide you a professional review of your circumstances. Please be short and to the point. Respect people's time. You're not being rude by just staying on point. It's just saying what you got to say in the fewest words possible. That's why you take your time. Describe the circumstances as it relates to the money. Include the proper documentation, just what you need, and thank the person for their time and consideration when you sign off. Okay? All right. Now, before I get to final words, I just want to go through a couple things here. If you found some value here tonight, I know I covered a lot of territory quickly. I got started a little late. My fault. My calendar said the wrong time by a few minutes, 30 minutes actually. But what I'd like to ask you is if you are interested in taking the next step with FAFSA Assist, this is what you do. There's a link you can log into. With student debt and tuition hikes on the rise, and they are rising. I'm seeing tuition go up several to $4,000 or $5,000 more. And to make it look like it's not as much, they'll take the indirect costs, like how much you spend on personal expenses, books, travel. They'll reduce that number so it doesn't look as bad. It's not very honest. So with all these things going on, we offer services to help parents close the gap between the financial aid their child should get and the exorbitant sticker price of most institutions. Now, FAFSA Assist is a proprietary online platform that lets you, as parents, easily complete the free application for federal student aid. That's the FAFSA, and the profile, which is a very intensive form. And before students even apply to college, FAFSA Assist does use something that does use proprietary software. And this is very special. Nobody's got it. It's called Merit Max. And we've been using it for a number of years, and we can pinpoint pretty much the exact tuition discount you're going to get. So we're going to identify schools that are going to match your students' academics, their social needs, and your finances. And it's very important. And approximately, as I said earlier, approximately 97% of all the financial aid your student could get is going to come from the colleges themselves. And as far as scholarships go, it's a little late for your seniors, being almost the end of March, but for you juniors, parents, have your student go to the administration or the guidance office right after commencement and get the list of scholarships that all the students got, the local scholarships, and apply for those. Chances are much less competitive and much easier to get. Okay, so it's important to apply to the right ones, and it's also important to know where to look for that extra money. Now, the Heckinger Report, it's an educational institution that reported the FAFSA as the #1 most complicated and convoluted higher education forum on the planet, because it can take up to, now for those seniors who've done it, depending on your situation, it could have been, 10, 15 minutes. Well, actually, it could take you a half hour just to log in most of the time, but it could take a few hours, it could take 10 hours. And if you add the profile in there, it can even add another 5 or 6 hours on top of that. It all depends on your circumstances. If you have to fill out a non-custodial profile, if you've got tax returns you have to upload to IDOC, depending on the schools. All schools are different. And what you want to do is, as those college offers come in, you want to be able to put yourself in a position to be able to appeal and ask for more money. Okay, most parents don't know they can do this. They accept it, or they think, well, if we ask, they'll take away what we got, or the worst, they'll pull the offer of admission. Doesn't happen. That's an urban legend. I don't know how that stuff gets started. But FAFSA Assist will provide you proven strategies and the exact words to use to get a college to offer your student more money. Now, one best practice, and this just happened, it happens, but it just happened with one of my clients. What was it, Siena College or Marist in Poughkeepsie, Marist College, maybe you've heard of it. The parents have yet to do anything. They haven't got all their awards in yet for their student. And they already got an award, a pretty decent one. And then they just got $3,500 more offered just the other day, bang, just like that, without doing anything. So sometimes just sitting on your hands and waiting and see what happens is a good thing to do. So that's a pretty good tip. I think if you're anxious, sometimes good things happen to those who wait. It just depends on the school. Now, not all schools do that, but there are a number that do that. But what you want to make sure is when you go through this process is put yourself in the position of being able to secure thousands of additional dollars, and it's at the best possible fit for your student and your pocketbook. Now, to make it even easier, take the next step by using FAFSA Assist. Use the subscribe link, and which is an attainable. It's $149. Not. It's just what it is. That's the lowest we could possibly do. Not only do you get everything I mentioned, but you get to participate in our office hours and specialized webinars designed to get you to be your own financial aid guru, to expert status in no time. And we'll include next year's service, next year's FAFSA Assist at no cost. That's right. Okay, free. Your subscription gets you your services through August of 2023. Now, you don't need a code or anything. Just by clicking on the FAFSA link that NSHSS has provided you, you're going to qualify for that for a year, but it's only for tonight. Okay, we got extra people handling the load. So read our real life testimonials on the website. Many of them did come from National Society for High School Scholars. That's a tough one. And I think you'll agree that becoming a subscriber is really, and becoming a part of our community is actually a pretty good thing. You'll be saving a lot of time, money, and headaches and frustration in no time. So I encourage you to take advantage of that tonight. And for parents of high school seniors, you have to apply each and every year your students in college, and we can help you all the way through graduation. Now I'm going to wrap it up with some final words, and we'll take some questions. I think we have time. I don't have a clock running. I meant to. If you have if the appeal didn't work out the first time and you have some new information, do contact them. If you need to, if you just felt that you could do better the next time on rewriting it, If use Grammarly, use spell checker, whatever you have to do, but give it another shot. Send it. All they can do is say no. Persistence often pays. If after all this you get some or not enough, the financial aid administrator's office, they're like the Supreme Court. They have the final word. The president, the coach cannot help you. What they say goes. They answer to nobody but the financial aid administrator, the dean. Okay, so let's see if we can't, wait, there we are. Get some questions. Now, I see quite a few. Let me go to them. Okay. Wish I had found you before. Okay, I wouldn't have made the mistakes. Can still help me after I've already filed the FAFSA? Yes. IM. What does Erica asks? What does IM mean? It means institutional methodology. College Board. How do you find out if your student is competitive? Well, you can go to the College Board's one place. You can also go to find out the common data set. Each school, and you'll see what the incoming class is. Anonymous attendee. Do you have better luck appealing prior to accepting the admissions offer? If you know that if it's a good idea for colleges that have a lot of money to let them know before acceptance, because a lot of schools you still haven't even been accepted yet, the top schools. So you would want to let them know sooner. This seems to be focused on appealing. Can you ask for a reassessment of merit if your student's competitive? Sure. Can we include student loans as an expense? The profile allows that. If you have your own parent loans, for example, and you're helping other children with student loans, yeah, you could appeal on that. What is the best way to find out if errors were made on the FAFSA profile in order to report any such findings to a school? Well, that's going to be tough. You have to have somebody that knows what they're doing. Tell you that. But just go back and just do it, reverse engineer it, just see where did the numbers come from that you entered. And if they come from anything that's non-reportable, like what I mentioned, take them out. I sent an appeal letter but not heard anything back. What should I do? You're anonymous. I'm not going to answer you. Did you say you recommend a letter for the appeal versus email? It depends. You can do both. I would try the email first or the portal, whatever they recommend. Certified mail is still very useful, or a combination of all three. Erica, FAFSA is for parents of students already in college. You have to apply every year, Erica, so you can use it every year. How long can you wait to appeal? Ina wants to know, is there a deadline? Yeah, after May 1st, generally your deposit has to go in, and if it's not there, you still can appeal later. I mean, I had, during the Great Recession, my youngest was in college, and there was an interruption in my income, yeah, we appealed. We got some more money from Brandeis. If my children have a large amount in their 529, but I don't make a lot of money, how realistic is it to get merit aid? Well, merit aid is mostly separate from need-based aid. So usually admissions is going to make that decision for you. I'm sorry, I don't have any sample letters up here to show. Is it too late to enroll in your service? We completed the FAFSA, been offered an award. No, it's never too late. It's $149, and you got to do it next year anyway. And we'll give you information on how to maybe improve your award this year. Does the CSS profile include non-custodial parent information? A little bit, not a lot. Just ask them, who they are, their address, how much you expect them to pay, email address if you have it, where they work, what do they do, pretty much. And when was your separation? When was your divorce? If you were divorced, that's all it asks. Let's see. The other question is, well, if you have a non-custodial parent who makes a lot of money, that can impact, but not all schools count the same. So you don't know. I've got a lot of parents who fill out the non-custodial parent, and we file that, by the way, for our clients, personal clients, if they want, and we can help them with that. The family income over 160, my chance of obtaining, well, considering 160,000 probably would be, let's see, we're looking at 20, 30, 50, $60,000 of EFC, and colleges are 86,000 now. Yes, you would qualify for aid. Came in late as a recording. I believe there will be a recording. Robin, College says we can contribute 18,062, but we are a one income house. What is best advice to appeal that? I can't give you that right now. I don't know enough about your situation. In your CSS profile, do you mention the money you have in your stocks? Yes, you're asked about that. I need to fill out my FAFSA. However, I tried, but I don't think that I did it correctly. Is there any way 101 help to fill out the FAFSA? I don't know what that means. Oh, anyone can help to fill out the FAFSA? Well, FAFSA can help you. If I'm not a U.S. citizen, can I apply? Your student can apply if they if they have a SOCH or they have an ARN. They're registered. Green card. Do I need to wait until my 21 taxes are completed? No, this is for 2020, Darren. Sandra, is everything automated online with FAFSA, or is there personal assistance? Yeah, we give you assistance, sure, anybody that knows this, yeah. But most of it's automated, and we have lots of videos to show you how to do it. Malin Molina, based on your knowledge of the financial college subject, do you think it's better to go to the school that you want or cheapest community college? Well, there's pros to going to a community college. A lot of kids don't get out of community college. That's kind of a problem. You really need a focused student and find out from the colleges that you do want to go to after you get out, will they accept all those credits? Because a lot of them won't. Can you please talk about more of this? For 149, what is the service? Yeah, it's a one-time payment per year. We said, well, if you sign up tonight, you'll get next year. The service, well, I think I covered it. I don't want to waste time. The website will cover just about everything. So if you go to fafsys.com, you'll find out. Let's see, can you share again how to find the college's history of awarding money? Well, you can go to Google the name of the college and common data set. Let's see, can future expected income significantly drop be considered? Yeah, but you're going to have to wait until it actually happens. Yeah, you can't, they won't do anything until you actually have that income drop. It's like this, it's like the severance thing. Is it worthwhile for parents to pay for FAFSA? My son has received letters, but it's not yet decided. I'm considering filing an appeal the award. Well, look, I can't tell people to sign up. It's if you think it's in your, my clients, no matter really how much income, they renew every year, my personal clients. And we are making this offer to renew. So you would start as a new family, but you'd be renewing anyway. So it helps every year. So I'm not going to, I've already, done my selling. Follow up to FAFSA says we can contribute EFC 6084. Oh, okay. Well, all right. Question is follow up to the $18,062 amount the school wants to pay. The FAFSA says EFC 6884. So there's a big difference that's called a gap between what the school's going to offer and what you have to cover. So you have to pay that 680.84 and the difference up to the amount of aid they gave you. So you can find that out. Typically, a college will report the percentage, and this is an average, and this is changeable. That's why appealing is so important. The percentage of need met is a number you want to know. What is the percentage of need met? College Board will have that. We have that as well. Teresa asked, I retired on October 2020, and 21 is 20 lower as I'm withdrawing IRA, the excellent Excel showing base future. Yes, it's good. You're going to want to get your 2021 income tax done too. You need to show that. Okay. I have some people doing that right now. A mom had to take out $30,000 of her IRA to cover her mortgage and living expenses because she lost a lot of work during COVID. And so we want to exclude that money if we can, but at least she'll have reduced income. We want them to know that at least she made less money even with the distribution. What do I schedule a 101 FAFSA meeting? I don't know what that means. What is the best way to determine what colleges will not include income? Oh, well, you go to the college and you find out if they use the non-custodial profile or not. They'll tell you. Go to their financial aid page and look up forms and, the process. Would you help with the appeal we want to make? Well, I give you all the information to do it. Specifically, if you have specific issues, yeah, we will. I think we're almost out of time. My daughter's a senior this year. There's a lot more questions. I wish I could get them. There's a lot of chat here. Thank you, Sydney. You've been putting stuff up there. That's fantastic. Great. So yeah, you got some links there that you can use to log in. I don't know if we're still getting questions. Info, how to connect with me. Well, let's see, I'll just type that. Well, it's info@FAFSAassist.com. Is there a spot on FAFSA to include IRA? Yes, there is. Yes. It's kind of hidden. Not alimony that's ending. That's a Schedule 1 item. You need to know the rules of Schedule 1, okay? Not everything is reported on Schedule 1. So if there's only like 4 or 5 things that are excluded, but they're kind of important. The rest you can leave alone. My medical expenses occurred in 21. They're reviewing. Yes, of course. Yeah, my medical expenses occurred in 2021. They're reviewing 20 taxes. Yes, they can help you this year. Yes, sorry. Even if you have twins, it's $149 each. I'm sorry. With the special offer joining FAFSA today, be good for 24 hours. Yeah. Well, we go 24 hours. Yeah, we just want to get you in and out because I want to go to bed. How do you report unemployment insurance? Unemployment insurance. Well, I don't think you do. Yeah. You employed unemployment compensation. That's what you mean. Yeah. Okay, I think that's it. It's been a pleasure speaking with all of you, and I hope that you join us, and I wish you a good evening.
Thank you, everyone.